You live in Arizona, the home of more different types of wildlife than any other state in the Union. Do you know what this is?
Well, we have something brand new at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. I think 46 or 47 of them, for that matter. And they're very special kinds of animals. We're going to learn about them and some other goings-on in the education department today, because our guest is Doris Reddy, Supervisor of Education at the Desert Museum. I'm sure you're familiar with her. Welcome, Doris. I jumped on your line of what's new at the Desert
Museum. You sure
did. But there's something else. There must be something else.
Oh, there are a lot of things new, right.
For example?
Well, one of the things we're going to talk about today is some of the happenings with the museum in Hermosillo. We're taking our vans down there in a week or two.
In conjunction with the Mexico unit?
Right.
You haven't been down to Mexico yet with the van?
No, week after next.
The youngsters have come up here.
Yes.
The teachers have come up here.
Mm-hmm.
You've spent quite a few weekends with that project.
Mm-hmm.
And now the van, the educational van, donated by the Junior League of Tucson, going to go down into Hermosillo.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, what's on the program? What's first up?
Well, I have some slides of our new docents. I don't know if this is the time to show them or not.
The
but
47,
46. We have 46
new animals.
Yes, right.
Human animals.
Right. Called docents. We completed our 15-week training program, and 46 docents graduated a week or so ago. And here's a slide showing our happy group. Graduation takes place in the demonstration desert garden at the museum, and we've been so lucky each year. The weather has been perfect.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful setting. Mm-hmm. I hope the docents, the new ones, can see themselves there. Oh, it might explain the word docent again. We have a lot of visitors and newcomers to the program.
In this country, the word docent has come to mean a trained guide, a volunteer guide or teacher.
How many do we have at the Desert Museum?
We now have about 140 active docents. And here's Betty Daniels on the right. She is our docent chairman this year, talking to two of the new people.
And then 46 new that graduated.
Docents always, the quote-unquote old docents, always prepare a fantastic feast of cookies and good things like that. And here we are afterwards with refreshments. There's Mary Kesey in the center, a curator of small animals, who's one of the many curators that helped teaching the course.
Okay, we've just taken care of 46 very, very special animals.
You bet.
And now, suppose we take care of another animal. Let's save the little Woody here until later, shall we? Mm-hmm. I should really look at the worksheet here. The IMARC visit. I'm not even going to try guessing at what IMARC.
Yeah, we call it the EMARC, and it's a school, a private school in Hermosillo, and it stands for the Mexican American Institute of Cultural Relations. And it's a primary school in Hermosillo, and this is the first private school that came up for a special program at the museum, and they were out last week. And this program was in English because this is a bilingual school. And they'll also be one of the groups that will be participating in the van program. We are down in Hermosillo. And that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be there for a little less than a week and a half. We'll be visiting, we'll be set up in one of the schools. Rather than us moving each day, we'll set up in one school, and the classrooms will come to us. So we'll have 50 children per classroom, 2 a day for 6, 7, 8 days. So that'll be something like 800 children.
Gee, that's wonderful. Now, here it is nearly 20 years later, the Desert Museum goes back to Hermosillo.
That's right, you were there.
In 1958, the Desert Ark went down, and we gave programs at the library. And the same setup, we gave the programs in the one auditorium, and they brought the students from the university and the grade schools in.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And it's not just the educational thing with the van being in the school. There's so much more involved. For instance, we'll be staying in the homes of the teachers. And of course, we've gotten to know these teachers quite well with their visits up to the museum, so we'll be learning a lot and hope to pick up a little in our Spanish. And we have a number of bilingual docents and bilingual staff that are going down with us to help out.
And also some docents and staff who are becoming bilingual.
Yes, we're working on it.
Now, this is a cooperative effort on the part of the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum, and two of the departments are involved in it. We're talking to Doris Reddy, our educational supervisor. That's one department. And the other department I mentioned earlier, the Mexico unit. We have a fellow named Carlos Nago, who's the coordinator of that. So all these arrangements are made because he speaks both languages and he's familiar with the folks down there.
This is a nice thing about the Desert Museum. All the departments work with one another. Not one is a separate thing.
And you know, we talk about going down to Hermosillo and down into Mexico. The Desert Museum also has programs available for Spanish-speaking people and Indian-speaking people here in Tucson. Our last week with Carlos, interpreting, went to El Rio and Pascua senior citizens.
By the way, I have a few more slides showing when the scenes of when the kids were up here a few months ago. If we could show some of those.
Wonderful. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, this is in our classrooms, and Helen Pedro, who is one of our bilingual docents, is presenting a little program here. And here is our Roadrunner, and we'll be seeing him in a little bit. We did some work with the children with live animals. And then we took walks out in areas near the museum. We were on a wash walk. And another hike up King Canyon adjacent to the museum, looking at some of the petroglyphs. And again, back in the classroom, there's Betty Daniels, our docent chairman, showing the children a tarantula. Yes?
How do the youngsters react to these?
Oh, they were great. They were very interested. And the same reaction that all children have at first, especially with a snake or a tarantula. The first reaction was yuck. But then in a bit, once they got to learn about it and touched it, they were very, very interested and quite excited about the whole thing. And here's, see all the girls touching the gopher snake?
Then it really doesn't make any difference where a youngster is.
No.
A youngster is a youngster is a youngster.
Right, and here's one of the girls holding a tarantula, and look at her face. She doesn't look very frightened, does she?
No. Now this is something I noticed. She's holding it on the table.
Yes,
this
always.
You have to, because they splatter if they drop on the floor.
Yes, so be very careful with the tarantula. And our Gila monster. And look at the faces on the kids. They're really excited about the whole thing. And her skunk.
Gee. First love.
And, our video, must talk about that.
Yeah.
Of course, we have our video color camera and so on and equipment at the museum. And Al Morgan, our audiovisual specialist, spent a lot of hours videotaping the various activities of the children. And he has now edited our hours and hours of tape. And when we are in Hermosillo, we are going to take our tape down and some of our equipment and plug it into the Hermosillo television station, channel 12, I believe it is.
Wonderful.
This is a Roadrunner. We don't take the Roadrunner out with a van. It's just a bit difficult. But we do use them in the classroom, and I take them out other times too. And Roadrunners eat mice. Now, I don't know if he's going to be hungry or not, and he just woke up. So
And this might be a mouse that served humanity in a way at the university as in some research work.
And of course, in the wild, we talk about animals being predators, being important controls on rodent populations. Snakes, roadrunners, many, many things.
He's getting the idea now.
There we go.
He's got to learn what that is there. That's a dead mouse, Buster. If you want to eat today, you better hurry up.
And not only do we talk about the fact that these animals are important on controls on various and sundry populations, but we talk about the use of the beak. Now, a lot of people look at this Roadrunner and say, oh, that's a fierce-looking beak. But he doesn't jab and poke with it. He uses it to hang on. And so we can see right here how he uses this tool, this beak, as a tool. He holds on, and then he doesn't know this mouse is dead, so he has to hit it around a few times, which he would do in the wild. Of course, Roadrunners eat snakes, too.
And eventually he swallows it whole.
Yeah, he'll do it in a minute. It takes him a while.
And I guess there isn't anything that doesn't eat something that was once alive. Although at one ARC program, a girl said to me,
There we go.
All gone.
Yeah.
And a girl said, now I don't eat things that are alive, or were alive. And I said, how come? She says, I'm a vegetarian. Well, the vegetables had to grow, didn't they? So I think this is what the Desert Museum is trying to put across. We can do it with youngsters. They understand it. With old folks, some of us are so conditioned that we get turned off and go,
yeah, we forget that in the wild, life and death isn't really a sad thing. It's a part of the whole thing.
A lot of people think that's a new beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of the many, many concepts we try to put across. And we have this video of a snake eating a mouse, and the kids enjoy watching it. It's not a yucky thing at all, to put it in the kids' terms.
All ties in with the new approach to life that younger generations are bringing on. Face things as they are.
Right.
We got something real funny coming up here now. And we're going to start off with another animal.
Okay, shall we look at the burrowing owl? Notice now he has his adult plumage, and see the spots and so on his breast feathers. Well, I had the burrowing owl on Sue Green's program, August, I believe it was, late August, early September, advertising the new docent training class.
Yeah.
And I had taken the lid off of the terrarium so I could more easily pick out the owl. Well, the owl did something it hadn't before. It flew out of its cage.
This happened all of a sudden during the program.
Yeah, we weren't expecting it. It was a live program.
And the one thing that the Game and Fish Department throws fits when they see a bird or something on somebody's head, especially if it's a protected animal.
Yeah.
And so this just happened.
This was unplanned totally.
On the program, but it was hilarious. And not only that, they thought it was so outstanding that Scott Gobranson put a tape on, and he caught some of it,
right,
but it was still going on. So let's look back to August of last year and see what happened to poor Sue Green and Tucson Topics, I think, the topic of Tucson.
Yeah, the noon program.
The end of a news program at noon or 11.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
Here comes the owl again.
We may have an interesting experience.
What is this about my head? Well, the owl, should we leave the owl on my head, or?
Now I'll hold the snake. But,
Okay, you
the
hold the
owl may
snake.
have an interesting reaction when he sees the snake. I don't know.
Uh-oh, well, on my head? If this owl is going to have an interesting response, I'd just as soon he be elsewhere.
On her head. Then you went to a snake.
Yes, and this is the very snake, I believe, that we
And
used
that was
day.
the very snake that you were holding.
Yeah, on the gopher snake. And this is one of the animals that we're taking down to Hermosillo also, and it's one of the animals we use in our van program all the time.
Uh-huh.
And of course, there are many, many things we can talk about with the gopher snake.
I see the
Roadrunner is looking very interested.
sitting there. He's looking is he going to have a reaction?
Well, Roadrunners eat snakes, and they eat rather large ones too. Of course, I'm not going to let him get a chance at this, but he probably is interested. By the way, we might look at the owl right now.
Okay.
The owl is going into a defensive posture, which he does when he sees the Roadrunner up close. And he's looking very large now. And when he really goes into it, his feathers are out and he's all fluffed up. And if we look large, then we might scare away something that's after us. And there we go. It's a very typical defensive behavior on the part of an owl.
If he makes that noise again, we'll pick it up.
It's a pretty big owl, isn't it? He's about quadruple his size.
The barn owls do this sort of thing when they're alive, too.
Screech owl, or great horned owls, I guess they probably all do.
Well, we're really getting back to nature on Arizona Desert Trails today. We have one other animal to show, but what else do we have here in the line of things to cover? Well,
We're doing pretty
we
well.
covered just about everything except this.
Right.
And from this, we're going to go to the Johnny Carson show of last week. Not last night, but a week ago last night, which would make it a week ago Friday night. And there was an animal shown on the Johnny Carson show. And here is a picture of that same animal several years ago when it was first given to the San Diego Zoo by the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. And there's Cora Jensen, who is was the teacher who went to the schools in
Yes,
San Diego.
she's with our
County at
education
that
department
time,
of the zoo, yeah.
with Richard Manalo and Cheryl Krzaska from Loma Verde School in Chula Vista. And the photo was by Ron Garrison. Here's another photo that Ron took of Cora with other youngsters at a school holding what they call Sonora. Now Sonora is the same fox that was shown on the Johnny Carson show a week ago by Joan Embry, the Miss Zoorama at the San Diego Zoo. She appears quite regularly. And gee, Sonora looked beautiful.
I miss it, unfortunately.
But does Sonora look as beautiful as her sister, which Doris is
but
holding?
I can just go look at this fox and I see the same thing. This is Sonora's sister.
And any noises you hear, extraneous noises, or that burrowing owl is still having a defensive posture as far as the Roadrunner is concerned. Now he wonders, with that owl being introduced to the scene, boy, he said they're really gang with the kid fox there.
Yeah, this is a kid fox that we use with the boys and girls as part of the education department, and she'll be 8 years old this spring. And she has been on television many times, and I had thousands and thousands and thousands of school children pet her.
And she is a doll, and she has another sister that goes sometimes on the art program and appears here. At one time, the Desert Museum was providing kid foxes to many of the zoos.
Yes.
We had a breeding couple down in the tunnel.
It lived for many years.
Speaking of the Desert Museum, that's the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum out in Gene Laus's beautiful Tucson Mountain Park. We should say that the supervisor's beautiful Tucson Mountain Park, because they were out visiting last week. Right. And we hope they enjoyed what they saw at the museum. We certainly hope you've enjoyed our visit today with our educational supervisor, Doris Reddy. We thank you very much, Doris. We hope you folks will keep in mind always one of the fascinating places to visit in the state of Arizona, without question, your Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. Bye now.
Hi there, little babe.
The Arizona Sonora Desert Museum in beautiful Tucson Mountain Park is famous for its unusual live exhibits of animals and plants native to this desert region. More than 350 different kinds. At the Desert Museum, you'll see and learn about the fascinating animals as black widow spiders. Located 14 miles west of Tucson, the Living Desert Museum is open from 9 a.m. till sundown every day of the year. There's fascinating fun for the entire family at the Living Desert Museum.